So in pre-season, Ten Hag has shown that the 4-2-3-1 seems to be his primary system that he's going to use next season, with a midfield double pivot of McTominay and Fred in behind Bruno Fernandes in that central attacking midfield role. Now the role that Fernandez plays in is of course the same position that he has been playing in for United since he joined, but now I would argue that he's transitioned from a general advanced playmaker or even a second striker at times into being more of a Trequartista. But what actually is a Trequartista and what is a second striker and an Enganche? But before I go any further, if you need a place where you can keep up to date with the latest transfer news, find all the match stats you need from games across the globe, and watch highlights and stream live football matches, then you need to download the OneFootball app. I use the OneFootball app because it's completely free, and not only do they have stats and transfer news, but they also have videos to watch and articles to read, which is where I get a lot of my ideas for new videos. And as I said before, you can stream live football matches and watch highlights all on the app. Downloading the OneFootball app will help support the channel as well, so I'll leave it linked in the description below. So yes, these are all terms from Football Manager, but that is actually because Football Manager does a great job of explaining individual roles in each position. All of these roles are located in a position directly behind the front line as a central attacking midfielder, but it's where they position themselves and what they do on and off the ball that differs them. A great example of a second striker is Dele Alli at Tottenham under Pochettino, particularly during the 2016-2017 season. Ali had the ability to link play in the middle and final thirds, but rather than being a creator around the box, he was much more of a goal scorer, having the ability to move into goal scoring positions around the box or out wide, and you can see here against Chelsea in 2016-2017 at White Hart Lane, Ali is dropping into a conventional central attacking midfield position, in behind the opposition's midfield line, but crucially when the ball moves into the final third, rather than holding his position between the lines looking to link the play and create chances, Ali being a second striker looks to make a forward run into a centre forward position, looking to receive a cross or a through ball into the box to then get into a shooting opportunity and potentially score a goal. It was Dele Alli's finishing ability similar to Frank Lampard that made him the player he was. In 2016-2017, he scored 18 goals in 37 Premier League games from that second striker position, but you can also see why when he stopped scoring, his creative output wasn't enough to sustain the level of play he was at, and he began to decline quickly because a second striker can become rather one-dimensional if you don't evolve your game, as Thomas Müller did, going from very much a goal-scoring midfielder to a world-class creator, picking up some incredible key pass and expected assist numbers a few seasons back. An example of an Enganche would most directly come from Argentina, which is where the name comes from, translating to English as a hook of the side, so metaphorically being the link between the midfield and attacking lines. In Argentina, this is mostly a role that's used in a 4-3-1-2 or a 5-2-3 formation. See, Argentina tactically evolved from a 4-3-3 in the 1970s to a 4-3-1-2 in the 1980s, and this is why I do think that we could see the return of a classic number 10 in the next decade, as currently it's the 4-3-3 which is the most popular system, and if Argentina evolved from a 4-3-3 to a 4-3-1-2, then maybe that's a good indicator that Europe will do the same thing as well. But it is in Argentina where I think we did see the evolution of the Trequartista, as Maradona was that Enganche-like player between the lines, being a midfield creator but could also score goals and was the hook of the side, but Enganches like Pablo Aimar, Juan Roman Riquelme and Ariel Ortega didn't have the same ball carrying ability or goal scoring threat that Maradona had, and so I would say that Maradona may have been at the forefront for popularising the Trequartista role. An Enganche is essentially just a more limited version of a Trequartista. A Trequartista has more positional freedom, and a great example of a Trequartista would be someone like Neymar, who can be given more positional freedom, able to roam across the pitch between the lines of the opposition system, providing chance creation and goal scoring ability. However, the traditional number 10 is more of an Enganche like Mesut Ozil at Real Madrid, as he didn't have the pace or the goal scoring ability, but he was a sensational playmaker, allowing him to be the hook of that attack, with players like Ronaldo, Benzema, Di Maria and Higuain ahead of him, providing the pace in behind, the ball carrying ability and the finishing to allow Ozil to be the facilitator of the attack. In the modern game, I would say that Ricardo Kaka during his first spell at AC Milan was my favourite example of a Trequartista. Kaka was unusual for a South American attacker, as whilst he had the technical ability, creativity and flair of a traditional Brazilian playmaker, he also had the speed, power and goal scoring ability that was perfectly suited to the European game, and therefore was much more than just an Enganche, and probably crossed into the Trequartista category. His performance against Manchester United in 06-07 showcased his dribbling, power and finishing ability to a world-class level, whilst his playmaking performance 2 years earlier in the 2005 Champions League final showed the world Kaka's elegance and ability to play an inch-perfect through ball, as he did for Crespo's goal during that game, whilst also creating Andrei Shevchenko's disallowed goal after racing through the centre of the pitch and setting up Shevchenko for the finish. Ancelotti got the best out of Kaka by playing him ahead of a midfield three of Pirlo, with two more industrious central midfielders in Gattuso and Seedorf next to him, with Kaka playing at the point of that diamond, in behind two centre forwards. Whilst in 06-07, when Kaka was the best in the world, he had more defensive stability around him, with Seedorf playing alongside him in behind Inzaghi in that Christmas tree system, with Ambrosini and Gattuso provided further defensive stability in the wide central midfield positions behind them. Like Kaka, Bruno Fernandes is more of a Trequartista than an Enganche for me, as he offers more of a goal scoring threat, which second strikers like Dele Alli and Thomas Müller earlier on in his career had, but also has the chance creating ability of an Enganche, being the focal point of the United attack. In the Premier League, I think Ten Hag is going to use Fernandes more as a Trequartista than an Enganche, allowing him to drift around rather than forcing him to maintain a central advanced fixed position. That's why in pre-season, when the fullback on one side drops deep in the build-up, Fernandes drifts over to provide an option on that side, allowing De Gea or one of the centre-backs to switch the ball out to him, and this is ultimately a role that Ten Hag wants him to play in the build-up in order to beat the opposition's press. In the middle third, Fernandes will be the hook of the team, positioned between the lines and being the main central advance creator of the attack. However, as a Trequartista, he can also be given the freedom to drift over to the flanks and move into goal-scoring positions a lot more often than if he was playing that Enganche role. This is a compliment to both Ten Hag and Bruno Fernandes, as I think a Trequartista role takes a better individual player to play compared to an Enganche, or maybe the right phrase is a more complete player rather than a better individual player. I do think that the Trequartista should make a comeback, as there are a lot of players who don't seem to fully fit into any role apart from as an Enganche or as a Trequartista. Neymar and Lionel Messi are both natural Trequartistas at this stage in their careers, and that's the reason why I don't think they can play together. Both suit playing in a 4-3-1-2 or a 4-2-3-1 as a central attacking midfielder, but I don't think at the top level you can afford to have two Trequartistas in the side without sacrificing the overall possession structure of the side and your ability to press without the ball. If I was a transfer god who got to choose where each player went, I would have Neymar at Bayern Munich as Lewandowski's replacement, but instead of playing as a deeper lying forward as Robert Lewandowski did, Nagelsmann could use Neymar as a Trequartista in the centre forward position, and I think this would work well as long as he uses inside forwards from each side. Bayern could use a 4-3-3 system with Neymar as the focal point and Mane to his left and Gnabry to his right, two of the best inside forwards in world football. Those two basically play as wide forwards, allowing Neymar to drop off between the lines, playing kind of as a false 9, but the key difference between a false 9 and a Trequartista is that a Trequartista is able to roam wherever he wants, so we would see Neymar drifting out wide whilst also getting into goal scoring positions as well, whereas false 9s like Roberto Firmino are more focused on using their movement as a tool to create space for forwards around them, dragging opposition defenders out of the back line to create the space for them then to make a run into. Neymar in this role would have the freedom to find his own space and be the side's central creative hub. I feel like the problem he has at PSG is that he's never been in a system that's built around him, so I actually think that a 3-6-1 would be an interesting system for a lot of reasons, as in possession it could move to a 3-4-3 or a 3-2-5 with the centre forward playing as another attacking midfielder. This would work for Bayern Munich with Neymar dropping deep and Gnabry and Mane playing as those inside forwards, making runs into goal scoring positions, with Alphonso Davies and either Sane or Coman playing as wing backs, holding the width in the system. Manchester United and Ten Hag could potentially look to adopt this system if Ronaldo was to leave. Anthony Martial could be the side centre forward in the 4-3-3, 3-6-1, whatever you want to call it, depending on how they line up in different phases of play, and it is plausible that he could even play a more withdrawn role as a deep lying forward or as a Trequartista himself, being given the freedom to roam between the lines or float out to the flanks when necessary. But Martial would have to develop his game intelligence further in order to fully understand when he should make a certain movement and when it may be better to hold his position. This would give United a 2-3-5 shape in possession, with Bruno Fernandes from the Trequartista role and maybe one of the wide attackers like Rashford from the left looking to break into central goal scoring positions either side of Martial's deeper movement, with Sancho on the right or left holding his width whilst the fullback on the opposite side pushes forward to keep the width balanced on both sides. With Bruno Fernandes playing more as a Trequartista than an Enganche, he can be given the freedom to make runs in behind Martial into goal scoring positions, and if you look at that forward line, you've got either Dalot or Malacia as one of the wide players in the front five, with Sancho on the other side, and Rashford and Fernandes making central runs ahead of Martial, which to me looks like a pretty good front five to have in possession, with all players suiting the roles they're playing. And I also think that Ten Hag could further evolve Fernandes' role in the side, and similar to what Pochettino did for Dele Alli, give him that license to be one one of the main goal scorers in the side alongside Martial and Rashford, and suddenly United look like they have a potent attacking lineup, and Fernandez has shown this ability before, so this wouldn't be a drastic evolution. Fernandez has already shown for his Manchester United career that he's capable of linking the attack in a transition. He is a creative force around the box, as seen last season alone, as he recorded the 5th most expected assists in the league with a total of 8.81, behind only Trent Alexander-Arnold, De Bruyne, Kane and Salah, and he also scored 10 non-penalty goals last season from midfield as well, proving that Bruno Fernandes is a complete attacking midfielder, being a ball progressor, creator and goal scorer, which are the attributes you need to excel in the role of a Trequartista. So thank you for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, put your thoughts in the comment section below, and check out some of my other videos in the description as well, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.